Hi, I'm Keely. This is the fourth installment of Irish history, and today we're going to cover Henry VIII's reign through James II's reign. Last time we left off with the monarchs of England having the title of Lord of Ireland, and today that's going to change with Henry VIII's rule. Henry VIII wasn't the most popular king, as we can see through his inability to keep a wife and his decision to completely break from the Catholic Church. Henry wanted to get rid of the Old English Fitzgerald family who ruled over a lot of Ireland at the time. He wanted to do this by having people think that Garrett, the next Earl, was executed in the Tower of London. Garrett wasn't really dead, but he was being held in the Tower of London at the time. Garrett's son Thomas was the next Earl, and he had followers who all had silken hats, and so he was known as Silken Thomas. On June 11th, 1534, Silken Thomas went to Dublin and threw down his sword of state because he believed that his father had been executed. Henry took this as an act of defiance and said that he was revolting. Revolting in that he was starting a revolution, not that he was gross. Thomas went on to kill his enemy, John Allen, in Dublin, and then tried to lay siege to Dublin twice, both times unsuccessfully. These actions facilitated the English rise to power in Ireland as his house fell. Henry VIII created this surrender and re-grant policy in lieu of Thomas's revolution. This meant that Irish lords were able to surrender their land to Henry, and he would re-grant them their land, but it would now be English land. Over time, this made King Henry VIII the King of Ireland as people were giving him their land. Unsurprisingly, this didn't work, which led to warring lords in Ireland, some who were loyal to Henry and some that were loyal to Ireland. Because of these battles, Henry instated martial law and debanded every single private militia across Ireland. In doing so, he also created plantations across Ireland, which would become more important later. These plantations were important because they housed Irish, Welsh, and Scottish people, and they pushed Irish out of Ireland as well as the Irish culture. Tudor rule brought four big characteristics that would be telling of Irish history over the next 300 years. Reformation, plantations, appealing to the continent for help, and nationalism. Reformation added a new layer of complexity to the relationship between Ireland and England, creating a greater wedge between the two countries. Plantations caused the eviction of countless Irish people and forced them to live in places like bogs and mountains, and they would usually die there. This was the time when the Irish started to look to the continent for help to roll the English out of Ireland. Usually this was not successful, but sometimes it was. Just over 60 years later, the 1600s began and caused a whole new slew of problems. The plantation system wasn't working very well, and so the English decided to roll out a whole new set of laws, which in doing so, they cut out all of these easy-to-understand laws by the Irish people and created new, complex, and foreign laws. After this, the ruling in Ireland became more and more absolute, especially after the appointment of Thomas Wentworth, the Earl of Stratford, to the position of Lord Deputy. Wentworth was pushing Ireland to create more and more money for England rather than trying to help the people there. The aggravated Irish decided to rebel in 1641, all across the country, all at once. However, this didn't work very well. Their big plan was to take over the Dublin castle where everything was headed in Ireland. However, it didn't work, despite there only being about 50 guards. And they had thousands of people. Ulster, one of the plantations, found more success than many of the others, with the eviction of many Protestants, burning of villages, and such other types of things. When the news of this event reached England, the numbers of people that were killed were greatly exaggerated, numbering from 200,000 to 300,000, when really only about 20,000 Protestants actually lived in Ireland at the time. This event is one of the ones that solidified the wedge between the Catholics and the Protestants in Ireland, which is still a major problem today. Despite all of the killing, the goal was to emancipate the Catholic Church in Ireland and to gain some support from the Irish Anglo gentry, as they had still remained Catholic. However, this didn't seem to work. In 1649, Oliver Cromwell landed in Ireland and worked to kill Owen Roe, the leader of the rebellion, and was successful. In the 9 months he was in Ireland, Oliver Cromwell killed thousands and thousands of people, massacring villages and towns, and he would do this by killing thousands of people in a couple of days, and then going along, and then killing another few thousand people in a few days later. Later these would be called unspeakable atrocities, with good reason. He also claimed about half of the cultivatable land in Ireland for himself, evicting all of the native Irish off of his land, threatening them with death if they still stayed on his plantation. The rest of the 1600s saw the English invading Ireland more, evicting more and more native Irish out of their homes, causing the tension to rise. We covered a lot of time today, but we're starting to hit the gritty part of Irish history, and so we're gonna have to slow down a little bit and take each event a little slower. I'm Keely, and this is still Irish history.